better dishes than anyone else we know. When they come around, I'm going to show them how well furnished our house is. I'm going to show them how loving and bohemian and urbane our marriage is, and how different we are. When they come around, I'm going to tell them how much our house cost, and I'm going to tell them how much our highly modern and stylish kitchen cost to have installed. When they come around, I'm going to show them how eclectic our CD collection is, with class bands like Level 42, Dire Straits, and other bands like that. When they come around, I'm going to tell them where we went on holiday and how popular we were with the locals who accepted us into their bosoms and said we could come and stay with them whenever we wanted. Because we know more about their food than any of the other tourists. When they come around, I'm going to show them how much we've learned about fine wines and rare vegetables. We saw some on television and read some in books we got from charity shops. When they come around, I'm going to show them how much we've changed from the people that they thought were dodgy, boring losers from before. I'm going to show them how much we've changed into people they envy, into people they should be jealous of. When they come around, they're going to go away having learned about how to live in style. They're going to take away a lesson in how to improve themselves and not to waste their time being complacent in their laziness and ignorance. When they go away, we'll be left lonely as ghosts in this place that we spent a quarter of our lives in, looking at each other across a chasm of boredom and resentment.
Single man looking for like-minded males to spend weekends poking around in each other's stinking piles of shits with twigs and sticks. Full clean driver license essential. Single recently divorced Asian man looking for discreet fun with females that have bird flu. 3 weeks to live is not essential, but brittle legs is a must. Parkinson's disease sufferers, why not drop me a line? I've got thrush and an Aston Martin. Come on, what are you waiting for? "39-year-old circumcised male looking for uncircumcised men to circumcise. Must be uncircumcised." "I've just thrown myself off the Hammersmith flyover. I estimate if I do it another 4 times, I will be dead." Wheelchair-bound war veteran seeks relaxed evening fun looking for landmines. "If you don't mind my house stinking of piss because I can never get to the potty in time, then please get in touch." Okay. 40-year-old below left knee amputee looking for discreet weekend fun with people of a similar disposition. Please bring own knee pads.
Perfect. Okay, go for it.
I've just hired a canoe and it keeps throwing conkers at me.
Ah, yes. I used to live on the coast, near a town called St Ives in Cornwall. Oh, a lovely part of the world. It's right down south it is, near the arse end of England, jutting out into the fetid shitness of the Atlantic Ocean. Beautiful. Warmed by the Gulf Stream, the Azores high, and the sheet metal factory down the road. My little cottage sat on a lush green hill, surrounded by yellow primrose fields, its southern aspect looking out into the vast blue yonder, where the sky meets the sea. On a clear day, I could see everything, and I mean everything. Old John the grocer used to cycle past my house in a morning on his way to the town, where he would open his little shop and sell his little vegetables to people. In the summer, tourists would come. Great big tourists, the size of wardrobes, would shuffle round the cobble streets of St Ives, taking photographs, stopping at tea shops for buttered scones with jam and flies. Occasionally, they would stray from the well-worn tourist paths and happen across my little cottage, whereupon I would kidnap them and force them to eat my shit from an old baked bean tin.
Madonna doesn't wipe herself properly. She leaves soiled newspaper on the pavement. She smells of ammonia. She's probably around 45, but she looks a lot older. She defecates by the recycling bins, and she flashes at tramps in Camden. But some of my neighbours fondly remember her old songs. We put up with her hanging around our street. She sells pencil crane drawings of her old album covers for something to eat. She sleeps in a van parked outside our front gate. Old Madonna. Smelly old Madonna. We have to make some use of her. I gave her an old tent and said, "You can pitch it in our garden if you can get your ex-husband film director bloke to help out with our rent." She said,
"Oh no, he's a funny feller. He ran away with Paul Weller. They're getting married. It's gonna be covered by News of the World."
I said, "Fair enough, old girl." I said, "Why don't you go and camp in the park?" She said,
"Oh no, I couldn't do that. I'm afraid of the dark."
Old Madonna. Dirty old Madonna. She won't go away. I'm getting used to seeing her ranting and raving every day. She drags herself across the pavement in an attempt to wipe her arse. It's not nice when I leave for work in the morning, stepping over lines of skid marks. Sweaty old Madonna. She's a bit of a pain. She got flu from voguing naked in the rain. The moonlight caused reflections on her cellulite. She's becoming a bane. I wish she'd go away. I heard she had a castle in Scotland somewhere. I wish her management people would persuade her to move back there. Filthy old Madonna. She won't go away. It's all a part of the social malaise that's invading Britain today.
Welcome to Microsoft Toilet. We can help you more safely and easily accomplish your favorite pastime.
Yeah, whatever.
Please position yourself on the Microsoft Toilet portal interface.
Okay.
Would you like a number 1 or a number 2?
I want a shit.
I'm sorry. Your request was not recognized. Please re-enter your response.
Number 2.
You have chosen a number 2. Is this correct?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes!
Microsoft Toilet is processing your request. Please wait. Please wait. 50% complete. Please wait. Microsoft Toilet has successfully processed your request. Do you want to continue?
Yes!
Are you sure?
For fuck's sake, can I please just have a shit?
I'm sorry. Your request was not recognized. Please re-enter your response.
Yes!
Thank you. You may now proceed with number 2.
Thank fuck for that.
Warning. Your portal interface is full. In order to free up necessary space, it is recommended that you perform a system flush. Microsoft Flush Advisor can perform this automatically for you. Do you want to flush?
Yes.
Are you sure?
No. I want to leave this big steaming pile of shite in my toilet bowl all fucking day, you cunt!
Alert! Microsoft Toilet has experienced a fatal error. Please restart the system and try again.
One bright, sunny day in spring, little Timmy Toppy went out into the garden with his friends. Quick as a flash, he climbed up the silver birch tree by the fence and hung from the first branch by his legs. "Look!" he cried. "I'm upside down!" Mary Morris, who was Timmy's best friend, shouted up at him, "Be careful! You might fall and hurt your head!" But Timmy didn't listen. He was a happy-go-lucky sort of boy, always trying out new things and nearly always getting into trouble. Just then, a head poked over the top of the garden fence. "Oi! What's going on here, then?" It was Mr. Growbags the gardener. "Timmy!" he cried. "Now just you get down from that tree. It's not safe up there." But little Timmy didn't want to come down. All at once, he climbed up to the second branch of the tree and hung there by his legs, just as he had done on the first branch. "Timmy, be careful!" shouted Mr. Growbags the gardener. "That silver birch tree is a sapling. It's young and weak. Those branches are too thin. You'll fall." But little Timmy Toppy didn't listen. He climbed higher, up to the third branch of the tree, and hung there by his legs, just as he had on the second branch and the first branch before that. Mr. Growbags looked up at Timmy, and his face went a peculiar purple colour. He was very angry. "Right," he said, and went off down the path to his shed. When he came back, he was holding a long pole with a metal attachment on the end. "What's that?" asked Mary Morris. "This," said Mr. Growbags, "is a garden hoe." "What's it for?" asked Mary. "Well, it's normally used for turning soil over in the garden, but now I'm going to use it to get Timmy down from that tree." Mary looked at Mr. Growbags, whose face was still a funny shade of purple, and said, "But won't it hurt Timmy?" Mr. Growbags narrowed his eyes and said, No, it won't hurt." Mary didn't believe him and started to feel scared. "Timmy!" she shouted. "Mr. Growbags is going to kill you with a hoe!" Timmy looked down and saw Mr. Growbags edging towards the tree, with his funny purple face and a long pole in his hand. As fast as you can blink, Timmy clambered further up the tree, up to the fourth branch, the fifth branch, the sixth and the seventh, until he was right at the top of the tree. "Ha ha ha!" he cried. "Look how high up I am!" Just then, a great golden eagle came swooping down from the sky, grabbed poor little Timmy in its giant claws, and hoisted him from the tree. Timmy shouted down to Mr. Growbags and Mary for help, but it was no use. The eagle carried Timmy away, over the fields and valleys, and out to the sea, where he was never seen or heard of again.
Mate?
Yeah, what is it, Rathmore?
Sorry, mate, but that ending's not really up to scratch.
Huh?
Can you sort it out, yeah?
You want me to do a different ending?
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake. All right. "Ha ha ha!" he cried. "Look how high up I am!" Just then, without warning, the branch on which Timmy was standing gave way. It cracked and splintered into thousands of pieces. Timmy lost his balance, Down he fell, down, down, down through the tree, past the 7th branch, past the 6th, and the 5th and the 4th, gathering speed. Down, down, down he fell, sending wood flying in all directions, until he finally landed on top of Mr. Growbag's upturned hoe. The hoe pierced his abdomen and came out through his back. Down the hoe Timmy slid, until he finally came to rest on top of Mr. Growbag's trembling hands. Mr. Growbags turned slowly and looked at Mary, who by now was shaking hard with fear. "Whoa," he grunted. "Now it's your turn, love."
Much better. Thanks, mate.
See, the way it is, right, is gets to about 2 in the morning. I mean, I'm working in 9 to 5, but I do drink a lot of lager at night, which is fine. I can still function at my job the next day. But usually, I drink the lager and I go to bed and I try to read this book, but I never get through it and I just pass out, which is good. My wife's asleep next to me. But recently, we got this cat called Kenneth, and he's a little bastard. The problem is my wife really loves him, but I know the little fucker hates me, and I've been watching him, right, and I come to bed after 6 cans of Stella. I'm quite pissed, and I think I'm just going to pass out again. I try and read my book, and I can hear him starting to meow, right, because we've got an older cat called Boona, and he fancies her because we've not done him yet, and he follows us around the house going meow, meow, and I say, shut up, you little cunt, shut up. And then he goes, I said, what? Shut up. And I think, fucking hell, I'm gonna have to shut the little cunt in the kitchen tonight. So I get up in my undies, fucking pissed at Stella, and I'm running around the house with that little cunt in front of me, and he won't fucking sit down and let me pick him up. I'm saying, come here, Kenneth, come here, Kenneth, come here, lad. Do you want some pork? Bit of ham? Come here. And he runs away again, and I'm running around, and then I've left the fucking living room door open onto the garden. It's fucking moonlight outside, it's cold, it's starting to piss him down, and he's fucking run outside. So I'm chasing around in my fucking undies in the garden going, Kenneth, come on, Kenneth! Kenny! I don't want to wake up the neighbours, do I? So I say, Kenny! Come here, you little shit. Come here, Kenny! Kenneth! And I walk up to him slowly, looking as friendly as I can. And he looks at me with that sort of look as though he's going to shit me weekend up. And I appeal to him. I get closer and closer, and he's walking towards the tree, and just as I'm about to pick him up,
Listeners, John Shedd's upset because things are going a bit wrong with his relationship. Tell us a bit about it, John.
Well, you know, it's difficult because I don't really know what's going on. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the girl to bits, but just no communication. I've not spoken to her recently, she's not spoken to me, and I know I'm dying to call her, but I don't know what she's thinking, and, you know, it becomes a bit of a game, doesn't it? It all becomes a bit of a game when it's left. But, you know, when you're trying to second guess everything, a text, or a phone call, or even nothing, it's hard. I just don't know, and I think I need to call her, but I don't want to pester her. It's about communication, and there is none. Maybe that's a sign it's over. I don't know. God knows I love that girl. But what can you do? What can you do? Just play this little old game called love.
Does she love you, mate?
I think so.
Oh, lads, I just had a fucking massive shit.
It was a rainy mid-afternoon. I was sitting in a pub near Piccadilly Circus, mulling over the recent tit-for-tat expulsions our boys were facing over at the Moscow embassy due to Vladimir Putin and his cronies' infinite pettiness and bloody-mindedness. Bloody fools. Was this the beginning of a new Cold War between Britain and Russia? Frankly, I didn't give a damn. I gazed into the bottom of my whiskey glass. Yes, actually, I rather did give a damn. Bugger the Ruskies. I love a challenge. A chance for a bit of action, just like old times. Bring it on, I said to myself. Outside, the rain was pissing down, like the urine of a million Oliver Reeds after a night on the tiles. I ordered another martini, when suddenly I became aware of an East European accent at the bar. Indeed, it sounded very much like a Russian accent. Half-pint vodka, please. Do what? I want half-pint vodka. You want what, mate? I want half-pint vodka. You must be joking, mate. You drink half-pint of vodka, you'll get completely smashed. Hey, I'm customer. I have money. Look, here is money. You are barman. You give me half-pint vodka. What is problem? Alright, mate. It's your fucking funeral. So, another Russian assassin sent by the Kremlin to do their dirty business on British soil. Well, they hadn't reckoned on one rather inconvenient detail. The presence of Hugh Boy, top British agent. MI5? Am I buggery? I'm MI6. Don't you forget it, Vladimir. I decided to keep a close eye on him. Within half an hour, he had been ejected from the pub for kissing other customers. Very clever cover. As he staggered outside, I decided to follow him. He weaved his way toward the tube station, and I was right behind him. He took a seat in the carriage of a train heading for Farringdon. I was right on his tail. He alighted at Farringdon, and I was so close I was right up his arse. He headed for an expensive-looking Russian restaurant. As we approached, I noticed an important-looking, rather portly man in expensive clothes sitting at a table near the door. I had to act fast. Suddenly, he veered away from the restaurant and headed towards a pub next door. Oh no, you don't get away that easily, matey. As we passed a rather convenient alleyway, I grabbed him, pulled him into the alley, got him onto the floor, and pulling out a Stanley knife, put it to his throat. Please, what are you doing? Sorry, Boris, I know all about your little game. No assassinations for you tonight, sonny boy. You're looking at Hugh Boy, British Secret Service. Please, I am Polish bus driver out for pint with my friends. I meet them next door in 5 minutes. Likely story, sunshine, I smirked with contempt. Please, you are crazy. Let me go. I laughed as I slit his throat. I stood up with total calm, pulled my cock out, and pissed on his corpse. Democracy won, Putin nil. It's a beautiful world, baby. I then adjusted my dinner jacket and moved on to my next assignment. Special Agent Hugh Boy, British Secret Service, signing off.
Me and Naomi have been sort of seeing each other for a while. It was a sexual thing, really. Physical, if you know what I mean. We didn't really go out much. She'd come round and we'd just, well, sort of fuck until we passed out. Dirty she was, up for everything. You know? Seemed alright, really, until one day she said, How come we never do nothing nice? Go out for a meal or something? Well, I don't know really, yeah. That'd be nice sometime, I said. Yeah, that would be nice, she said, before burying my cock in her face. So anyway, a few days later, I rang her up and I said, fancy going to the pictures tonight? And she said, yeah, and we arranged a time and a place to go off and do whatever we're doing. I think I was fixing my bike at the time. 7:30, I'm waiting outside that big pub in Baker Street when she arrives. She's looking nice and we have a drink and then we go off to the film. I think it was that Prince film. We hold hands a bit and after she says she wants to go for a meal or something, so we go and have an Italian and we have a bit of a laugh and a few drinks and talk about all the stuff we never really chat about, and actually it's all dead romantic. And we look at each other a lot and smile, and when we've finished I pay and I say, well, you fancy getting a cab back? And she says she better not tonight because she's got to get up early in the morning, but thanks for the evening. And she says it was nice to do something different, and we have a cuddle and a kiss, and she waves at me from the back of the cab and she's all smiling, and I smile and wave, and she's smiling and waving, and I'm still smiling when I get back to the flat. And I have a beer from the fridge and I smoke and I sit in the kitchen and see everything in a bit of a different light. Cunt rings me up in the morning and chucks me.
I love Facebook. It's brilliant. Sarah is happy. It's Friday. Sarah is loving life. Sarah is annoyed with her boss. Sarah is cold. Sarah is thinking. Sarah is dubious. Sarah is in need of a hug. Sarah's drunk. Sarah is suicidal. Sarah is dead. Good.
Hello, my name is Peter. I've been in London for maybe 5 months now. The weather, compared to where I come from, is quite warm. But the English women are very cold. The men too, very stiff, formal and polite. These are the English middle classes. And the working classes are just loud and frightening, violent and drunken and ignorant. Okay, it's okay to be ignorant, but they have no humility. They are just loud, egotistical and offensive. They shout things and start violence on buses. But there is no need for this. It's just energy wasted in a terrible direction, misdirected animosity. This country is crazy and yet boring at the same time. The English seem to be either bureaucratic clerks or hooligans, with no passion, like cold fish, or too much negative passion, like mongrel dogs with rabies. And rents, so expensive. Their food is bland, it dies on the plate. No garlic, no paprika, no love. They don't feel passion when they cook. If you don't eat well, how can you cook well? They seem to, they seem to eat to live, not live to eat. Where I come from, we love to eat and drink and talk together, all day and all night. And yet in my home country, we are poor. Desperately poor. If we had the resources of the English, we would live in style. They have gardens, but they don't use them. We would all sit out and eat and drink in the evenings. They ignore garden and sit inside watching television. I can't understand them. And their clothes, they seem to either wear grey or bright pink, or both. And their sausages are full of shit. But I want to cradle them in my arms and whisper to them, "Poor little English sheep, you have no soul, you have no heart. Let me lead you to a greener pasture, where we can all express ourselves, where we don't need to be stiff and formal or mindlessly drunk all the time,
where we can get drunk on life, where we can dance in the meadows and say, look at the sunshine, it is a gift, look at me, I am happy to be here, and I like you, my little English sheep. Hello, little English sheep, I like you, yes, and I love you. You are all my children. Come here and hold me, my little English sheep. I love you, yes.
A is for apple, all lovely and ripe. B is for bicycle, sometimes called bike. C is for catapult, and caught by the fuzz. D is for dinosaur, no longer with us. E is for electric, quite shocking, I know. F is for ferry, a boat which comes and goes. G is for gentleman, with slippers and a pipe. H is for horseshoe, of course, and for hike. I is for ignoring what's coming ahead. And J is for jollity, like Steve in his bed. K is for koala, all trains lost in snow. And L is for Manchester, where we had the show. M is for washing, hung out on the cliff. And N is for party, alone in a lift. O is the colour of August in spring. And P is the answer the telephone sings. Like Q, in fact, dirty and slouched on a leaf, before R turns the ignition for V and for teeth. F is for farmer and orange and boots. And T is the noise an owl can resist. U walks like this for one reason alone. V is the number of kings in Africa. W is for Nancy, at tea time she sings. X is for balloon race. Y is dead. Z, kettle, mouse, wind, night.
Oh, I've been here for about 3 months now. After my wife died, my children decided I couldn't manage by myself and put me in here, and then moved into my house. I can't say it's bad. Central heating, my own colour television, hot meals. But the nurses are a bit, well, patronising, it does have to be said. They'll come up and talk to me like I'm a bit backward. Hello, Cyril. How are we today? Do you want a cup of tea, Cyril? A nice cup of tea? I just nod. I don't want to cause a scene, or mention the fact that I'd prefer a shot of rum. Yes, I can't say I'm not a tad dismayed at the way things have turned out. You work hard all your life, in a good little job. You sacrifice everything for a nice house and a car, holidays abroad, only for your children to cast you aside once you've outlived your usefulness. It's not what I'd pictured for the future. And these nurses, I hear them gossiping about boys and what they get up to. I can see they don't take me seriously. And why should they? An old diddery-doddery like me. Still, I've kept in good shape for my age, just in case I need my energy for anything. Bit of fun sometime, if it ever comes along. Here comes the nurse now. Sharon, she's called. Hello, Cyril. Everything all right? I've just come to do your bed. I say, I've just come to do your bed. Hello, Sharon. Could you close the door, love? There's a bit of a draft. All right, Cyril. Getting a bit cold, are we? She closes the door. and turns her back to me. She does the bed as usual. All the nurses turn their backs to me. I suppose I'm not worth bothering with for young lasses like them. And then, quick as a flash, I'm up like a jack in a box. I pull out my Swiss Army knife and I plunge it into her back. I've just pulled her skirt up and got her knickers down and pulled out my John Thomas when the door opens. Wouldn't you know it? Still, it would have been nice.
I have spent a lifetime avoiding creditors. People knocking on the door, ringing the phone, sending me letters, all of them wanting money. I mean, there's an old saying, you can't take it with you when you go. And it's true. You could be a millionaire, and none of it's going to matter when you're dead. Nevertheless, there are those out there who still insist upon trying to get fines from me, and credit card overdrafts, money for overdue library books, gas bills I haven't paid, cars that I got on HP and never bothered to set up the direct debit. They're all after me in some way. But I'm clever. Managed to avoid them for years, and eventually they give up. 11 years apparently. If you can avoid a creditor for 11 years, they can write it off as a bad debt. I even avoided the milkman once, because I owed him 30 quid or something. A milkman. But you know, you may think it's irresponsible, not particularly honourable, but it's just the way I am. It's my life. It's a habit. Can't break out of it now. Besides, I'm rather good at it. So whenever I can, whenever the opportunity arises, I'm going to avoid paying for something. I don't regret it. When I look back at my life, I think, yeah, it's only money. And they're not getting it. Having said that, if I ever borrow money from a mate, I'll always pay him back. Mates are important. Creditors can fuck off.
It was upon the passing away of my dear demented mother, and the rather impolite and most inconvenient sudden reclaiming of the council flat that I had been living in for the past decade and a half by the original tenant, that made me decide to go and live in the family home, sadly far away from London, in a little Yorkshire village called Thornton. I knew I would miss the hustle and bustle of the seedier side of the Barbican that I had called home for so long, but I was tired of working long hours in the smut industry, although some of the less psychologically stable females in the area had given me many a minute of pleasure. The time had come to go somewhere quiet and reflect, and consider my next move in life. I was going to take it easy for a while. But taking it easy doesn't come very easily to me. Arriving in the village, I dropped off my meagre belongings and proceeded directly to the local hostelry, with a view to punishing my liver most mercilessly. It was 4 p.m. on a bright sunny afternoon, and said pub was a mere few doors down from my little terrace cottage, full points to deceased parents for choice of location. Walking into the pub, I espied 3 customers,
A slightly scruffy, overweight and bearded type in his 30s with rat-like buck teeth, who in my immediate and irreversible estimation was most likely the local doughboy, probably still residing with his soft-hearted parents and if possible to be avoided. To the right, a couple in their late 50s, both flabby and looking most tedious company. But directly in front of me, aha! A nubile-looking barmaid, no doubt loose of morals. I proceeded directly to the bar, giving her my most engaging smile. "Well, hello, madam. A double vodka and tonic, if you please." Her reaction was a curious mixture of boredom and mild alarm, a combination of emotions I couldn't recall ever having seen expressed simultaneously on the same face before. Unfortunately, within 5 minutes of attempted conversation, I realized and ascertained that this rather fetching creature had the intelligence of a cow. As the hours went by, the pub gradually began to fill up with the local crowd, who were, regrettably, an unremittingly dull and depressing lot. I retired to my cottage most dispirited, disheartened, and dyspeptic. From the next day I resolved to keep my own company, my only exercise being long, rambling walks across the surrounding countryside. The days rolled by, and each evening I popped into the local off-licence on Market Street, where I was already a respected customer, for the liver-punishing supplies I would need that night. Then I would play Stravinsky and sit in the dark, drinking and looking out of the window onto the neighbouring gardens. Gradually over the evenings, the sheer splendour of both my immediate neighbours' vegetable patches began to seriously catch my eye. Having always been a lover of vegetables, all vegetables, I began to hanker after Mrs. Ramsbottom's delicious-looking Swedes, Mrs. Nesbit's gorgeous, mouth-watering butternut squash. These vegetables began to obsess me, and I knew I had to get at them somehow. Both sets of neighbours were fairly elderly, and I rated my chances of getting in and out of their gardens fairly confidently. Whether they would notice that I had stolen their vegetables was a different matter, and, having only just moved in, I would be a prime suspect. Yes, the plan would have to be much more subtle. I would somehow have to contrive to eat them with their growers' permission. The question was how. Suddenly, it became clear to me the following Saturday afternoon. I resolved to carry out the plan as soon as the neighbours' lawns became dark, they having turned their bedroom lights off, but first I had to prepare. I began by masturbating furiously into a Tupperware bowl. Then I proceeded to fill 2 surgical needles with my semen. Shortly after their lawns became dark that night, I crept outside and stepped over the fences into the 2 gardens, whereupon I proceeded to inject all the Swedes and butternut squash with a little sample of my love juice. The next Sunday I went around, first to the Nesbits, then to the Ramsbottoms, and gave each couple a bottle of the finest champagne in order to entice them into allowing me to join them for their Sunday dinners, with a proviso that they allowed me to sample the fruits of their garden with the roast, namely said Swedes and butternut squash. Needless to say, both couples agreed. I arranged for 2 p.m. with the Nesbits and 5 p.m. with the Ramsbottoms. I shall never fully be able to articulate the sense of excitement and satisfaction as I watched Mrs. Nesbit put a good forkful of my semen-infested butternut squash into her mouth, and when Mrs. Ramsbottom began greedily chewing my cum-ridden Swede, her mouth inelegantly full, I experienced an exquisite coughing fit and had to excuse myself most urgently. I had barely entered my front door before I had to change my trousers. Yes, all things considered, I could quite take to country life.
Terry said to me, he said, "You know what? You don't fight enough. You want to fight more, Danny. You want to get in more fights." His eyes bore into mine, his hands outstretched, imploring. "Yeah, you're probably right, Terry," I said. "I fucking mean it, Dan. You've got to get in there." He paused and thought. "What you've got to do is white out. Steam in and white out. Let everything fall away. Have the fuckers." He paused. "It's transcendental, Danny. It's the only fucking way." I nodded. The Chinaman said, "You want salt?"
I'm about to light up my 29th cigarette of the day. Now it's probably too many, but there's not a lot else to do this time of night. If you're in a car and you're driving down the M1 and the traffic slows up, there's a jam ahead, you slow to a crawl and then to a halt, you sit there on the outside lane, you light a cigarette up. There's nothing else to do. In a restaurant, you've ordered a starter, you've ordered a main course. You've eaten the starter, and you're waiting. You've run out of conversation. What do? You light a cigarette up. You're standing at a bus stop, waiting for a bus. It's late. Starts to rain. You light a cigarette up. You arrive at a function of some kind, maybe a theatre play or something, and cinema. And everyone's milling around waiting for the performance to start. And, well, it could be a while yet, so you pop outside and have a cigarette. You're on a beach in Hawaii. The sun blazing down, sounds hot beneath your toes. In the distance, the strains of music. Sky's blue. What do? You light a cigarette up. Sunday morning, you're lying in bed. Got the newspapers spread around all over. Having a good read. A good cigarette. You're lying on your deathbed. Doctor reckons you've got maybe another couple of hours before you snuff it. What do?
Well, it all came to a head yesterday. I was playing chess with a central heating engineer called Kevin Willoughby. He was a pretty good player, I have to say. He tried the old Sicilian defence against my pawn to e4 opening move. And just before I launched into a counterattack, I noticed something unsavoury. My mother had come to visit and was sitting in the green armchair near the window, was winking at my opponent in what can only be described as a lecherous manner. I glanced up at Willoughby and saw him wink back. Now, my ma's knocking on for about 65 now, so I'd imagine the furthest thing from her mind would be to entertain the rancid little fantasies of a 42-year-old British gas employee. Nevertheless, she was looking at him in a kind of, I know what you're thinking, lover boy, kind of way. Horrified, I quickly looked back at the chessboard, staring hard at the pieces, trying to block out the images that flashed into my head of Willoughby and my mother pumping furiously on the green armchair, her old legs wrapped tightly around his back. At that moment, I don't know why, but I snapped out of it, and the chessboard came back into focus. I made my move. Knight to f3. The classic response. Willoughby was going to die.
Hey, Mama. I said the way that you move, I'm going to make you sweat. And I'm going to make you groove. Oh, little child, the way that you shake that thing, I'm going to make you burn. And I'm going to make you sting. Hey, baby, when you walk that way, I watch your honey dripping, and I can't keep away. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ah. 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 Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ah. 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 I've got to roll, and I can't stand still. I've got a flaming heart, and I can't get my fill. With eyes that shine burning red, dreams of you trickle through my head. Ah. Hey baby, oh baby, pretty baby. Tell me, why won't you do me now? Hey baby, oh baby, pretty little baby. Moving while you are grooving now. It didn't take very long before I found out what people mean by down and out. She spent my money and she stole my car. And started telling her friends she was going to be a star. I don't know. But I've been told a woman with large legs doesn't have a soul. All I ask for, and all I pray for, a large heavy woman is going to come my way. I need a woman who's going to hold my hand and not tell me any more lies, and therefore make me a happy man. Ah, 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 ah,
You calling me a cunt? No, no, what I'm saying is I'm calling me a cunt, alright? Are you saying I'm not a cunt? You're saying I'm not a cunt, are you? Yeah, you cunt. How dare you, you cunt, say that I'm not a fucking cunt, you fucking cunt. Yeah, it's a good night. You're good people, really. Cunts. I'm feeling emotional. Have I told you about my boys? Yeah? Got 3 sons. Yeah, I have. Yeah. Always been fertile. Love them to bits. Little bastards they are. Just like their old man. Yeah. Well, I say little. But one's in his 20s. The other 2 are in their mid-30s. God, they're getting bloody middle-aged. But, you know, what can you do? Doing well, though, you know. One's married, living in Japan. T'other one, just been to his wedding. Yeah, lovely bird he's married to. Give her one myself. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it was hard. It was hard because I grew up with the lads in I left the wife. No, you see, the mother of the lads, 3 boys, yeah, the mother of the boys, she finished with me because I'd go out for a newspaper or a pint and come back 3 days later. I mean, I understand it, of course, you know. She could have been a bit fussy, but she couldn't be doing with it. Anyway, point is, had a bit of a thing. I moved to London, and she stayed down in the West Country, and the lads had come up and spent the weekend with me. It was good, you know. Take them to playgrounds and restaurants and round to see my bird, and By the evening, of course, it gets boring, doesn't it? Looking after your boys. Because there's not a lot you can do, so take them to a party or something. There's always a party on Saturday night. And this apparently happened one weekend. I can't remember it. I must have got off with some blonde, buxom... I think I remember the woman, but I don't remember what happened. Anyway, come Sunday, I get a call from the mother saying, "What's happened?" I said, "What do you mean, what's happened? I've just had bloody breakfast." You know, all right, it was about 5 or 6 in the afternoon. She says, "What the fuck's happened?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Where are the boys? I just came to collect them at the train station. They didn't turn up." I said, "Oh shit. Oh shit." I remembered. I'd taken them to the party and got off with this bird and left them there. So I had to do a bit of frantic ringing round. And luckily they were still there, as it turned out. But good old bird, the mother actually, it's got to be said, because she, I begged her, please do not tell my 80-year-old mum. Right, but she didn't say a word, so that was fantastic. She agreed to it. I'll forever be indebted to her, it's got to be said. And these lads grew up. And they're good lads, I mean, on the whole, but, I mean, you know, they're a pain in the arse like their old man. They're ungrateful little bastards, it's got to be said. Ungrateful little cunts, and sometimes, a bit like now, I have a drink, and I get to thinking. The thing about these lads is, no matter what you do for them, you go through shit in your 20s because you're supposed to be going out and having a good time. You gotta fucking stay at home and look after them. They don't fucking appreciate it. They don't give a damn. They don't say, "Oh, thanks, Dad," fucking 20 years later. "Thanks for fucking sticking around." They don't thank you for it. They fucking take you for granted. So, I mean, I get pissed off and I get to brooding about it. I brood. I have a few drinks, a few whiskies. I shouldn't drink whiskey. It's not my ideal drink, really. It's my favourite drink, but it's certainly not my ideal drink. It doesn't bring out the best in me. That's the problem, you see. Then I get to thinking about Nigel over there in Japan. And I forget the time difference, you know, it's 10 o'clock at night or something. And I think, right, let's fucking have this out now. I give him a call, I get the bloody phone out. Here we go, get the bloody phone out, I'll give him a call now. There we go, right, what's the fucking number? Right, yeah, that's right, yeah. Right, and here we go. Hello? Harvey. But what? Nigel? Yeah, Nigel, that's what I meant. Hello, Nigel. You're a fucking ungrateful little cunt. You're an ungrateful little bastard. Have you got that? No, don't argue with me, you little shit. Good night. Fuck's sake. And they get upset about things like that. I mean, what can you do? Sons. God bless them.